A warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dirk Dronia and I'm responsible for building automation in market management at WAGO. Smart and easy. Simplicity. This was already a topic in the first session of the Digital Roadshow on March 29th. Under the motto Management of Buildings and Distributed Properties, the question was addressed on how buildings and distributed properties can be simply operated in a reliable, efficient and future-proof way. Also today, the topic efficient automation of technical building equipment is about simplicity. We have a chat function on this platform. Already at this point, I'd like to ask you to use this chat function to raise questions and to give feedback to us. I'm not alone in the studio today. With me is Pierre Reuter, Product Manager Building Automation with a focus on room automation. Hi Pierre.
Hello Dirk.
And connected from remote, Florian Tremmel, Head of Project Sales Germany. Hi Florian.
Hello Dirk.
Let's start with a brief overview. I guess it's out of question that building automation is an important trade, that it has a positive impact on the energy efficiency when it comes to operate buildings. In Germany, with the DIN 276, building automation is recognized as an independent trade since 1993. From 2006 on, building automation was or is divided in 4 parts: HVAC automation, control cabinets, building management systems, and room automation. In 2018, requirements for building automation were included at the European level with the revised EPBD, European Performance of Building Directive. It was explicitly stated that measures to improve the overall energy efficiency of buildings should not be limited to the building envelope, to the insulation. It can be assumed that the requirements for the EPBD will now be gradually adopted across Europe in national laws. The EU sees it as necessary that building automation for operating and monitoring is available from 2025 if the nominal power of air handling and air conditioning systems, heating system exceeds 290 kilowatt. Or you don't have to carry out a regular inspection for systems more than 70 kilowatt. In addition to the classical technology, to the technical building equipment, the EPBD is covering e-mobility. So you have to take care of the management of electrical power as well. Let's have a look around what's going on else in the market. So you come across the term BIM, Building Information Modeling. The digital twin designed with building information modeling accompanies the building over its life cycle, from planning through construction and operation to dismantling. In the medium to long term, this will also affect building automation in terms of planning, application creation, commissioning and operation. What has not changed in recent years is the time pressure that building automation traditionally has to deal with. Often awarded late as a trade, it still has to ensure that the building service systems are put in operation in a planned time frame. In addition, there is a shortage in skilled workers. There's a lack of experts with process and system knowledge who can meet the increasing demand for efficient automation solutions. Energy efficiency requirements, increasing demand, time pressure, and a shortage of skilled workers. In addition, there is an increasing complexity to more and more systems and devices that must be viewed in relation to one another. Here, installers and operators have to deal with the same fact. They have to make complex things easy. The system integrator needs simple solution for fast and error-free commissioning. Buildings, on the other hand, have to be flexible in their usage and redesign. In my opinion, a project-specific individual creation of applications makes less and less technical and economic sense in the described environment. Is that correct? Let's compare my statement with the experience in the project business. Florian, what is the current situation out there in the field?
Yes, Dirk, that's right. Today, many projects have tighter and tighter deadlines. In many projects, private projects, trades are assigned too late. However, the completion date stays the same. This means we have less time for execution. This leads to stress, hectic, and faults are made in installation and commissioning. DALI lighting is an example for that. The most common fault in the field is the wrong wiring of DALI bus. The two DALI wires, which are interchangeable, are not completely wired from luminaire to luminaire. We can also see that in automation. With self-written programs, the programmer's state of mind of the day often is decisive. And later on, for the facility manager, the automation stations are different, and also data points get lost and are neither wired nor programmed.
Okay, thanks, Florian. Let's come back to the shortage of skilled workers I mentioned at the beginning. In the next few years, many experts will retire. The new generation does not seem to meet the need for specialists. What about building automation? What about the specialists for building automation? What's the situation here, Florian?
In building automation, we also have a lack of specialists. This is because of the increasing complexity of building automation, but also because many specialists go to various industry areas. The generational change also plays a big role here. The specialists who have built up and maintained the plants are retiring, but there are not enough new specialists for building automation. And we are in a different technical era now. Mobile devices become more and more important, just like ready-made applications. Despite having ready-made libraries and macros, new specialists have little interest in free programming of plants. They expect that there is an app for everything, just like it is in the world of cell phones.
That all speaks in favor of configurable solutions. Which application can be carried out in the building with ready-made configurable solutions?
There are various areas in the building. We have many years of experience with integral room automation, consisting of control of the lighting, blinds, and room climate in ideal interaction, and also for the control for small and large lighting systems in non-residential areas. Typical primary plants can also be easily parameterized with ready tested macros. This is useful for the installer of the plant, but also for the operator in the life cycle of the building. The use and the reparameterization of the building are easy to handle.
We are talking about applications that can be easily standardized, so perfect for configurable solutions. Pierre, which configurable solutions do you have in mind? What are the details?
Yes, Dirk, so we are focusing on 4 areas of applications here. So for the automation of primary HVAC systems, we developed the application building control. But you can even use it for the entire automation of small properties like kindergartens or small retail shops. And you have the option to connect it to a cloud application. Room automation and weather-dependent functions can best be realized with our applications FlexRoom and Weather Station. And then there's our application lighting management, which is perfect for controlling lighting for large areas, such as production halls or as shopping centers. And for the collection of measurement data from various medias, so for example, for a basis of an energy management system, we offer the application Energy Data Management. And also here you have the option to connect it to the cloud. In general, all of our application solutions have a web-based user interface. So this means that there's no need to install additional software for configuration or for performing the data point test. So the dialogues can simply be opened in a web browser and of course also on mobile devices. So for example, this makes it easier to change the configuration during the operating phase. In projects, compliant with standards and guidelines are often required. So for example, the ISO 50001 for energy management systems, or the German VDI 3813 and 3814 for room automation or for system automation. So for this reason, we implement the functions in such a way to support our customer in complying with the standards and the guidelines.
Yeah, you mentioned standards like ISO 50001 or the VDI 3814. I like to add the EN 5232, which offers a method for estimating the energy efficiency in new and existing buildings. Having a closer look at the EN 15232, we see that there is a big potential in energy saving when it comes to room automation. The required networking of lighting, sun protection, and climate control in the highest efficiency class is the base for a flexible automation as well. The requirement for flexibility in operation when using space is important and not unusual, Florian.
Yes, it is very common that the room layout changes during the life cycle of a building. This is the case in most larger projects. Often in investment projects, only the fire area is planned at the beginning with an example settlement. We call them phantom planning. The exact layout is drawn up when there is a tenant. Then so-called tenant fit-out plan is made. The fire area is then divided into the different rooms, which consists of individual segments. Unfortunately, the highly flexible approach of the room design is often discarded when tenants move in. The rooms are built as fixed rooms according to the tenant fit-out plan in order to reduce the costs. So there is not flexibility for future redesign of the rooms and the areas. In one of our past projects, our client accepted our completely flexible approach. This company changed their room and areas layout up to 200 times a year. Individual team areas can be created for the teams, for example, design as rooms as areas. This would not be possible without flexible room automation. External companies would have to rebuild, rewire, reprogram each time. The facility manager of this company can do this himself.
We are talking about flexibility in the use of space, but planning comes before the flexible use of a building. What must be taken into account during planning so that a building can be used in a flexible way over the life cycle, Florian?
We should use the same template here like in the architecture according to segments and axes. The layer modeling according to VDI 3813 or 3814 can be helpful here. In this layer model, buildings are divided into segments, rooms, areas, buildings, and so on. Next, the smallest partition unit in the office must be determined. Either the smallest partition unit is the window, access, or the climate zone, which means the heating and cooling ceiling. That also means that all field devices like valves, sun protection motors, and lighting must be built in the smallest possible partition unit, so that the room can be designed later on in the software. Then we can start with the segment planning according to the smallest partition unit. You can see in the individual segments in red here. A room can consist of one segment or more segments for more flexibility. In the segment planning, we do not only consider one room with the hardware single room controller like usual, but the entire office area, for example, a fire compartment. This is a future-oriented and flexible room automation which can simply be adapted to the user needs by a mouse click of the facility manager.
So yes, Florian, so exactly these requirements led us to develop the FlexRoom application solution. So with it, the room functions of lighting, blinds and room climate can be implemented in an integrated manner and, as you described, also segment flexibly. Integrated means here that the three systems and also the influencing variables that can increase the efficient use of energy and also the comfort for the users in the room are taken into account holistically. So with FlexRoom, you can automate offices, open spaces, conference rooms, and as well as other areas such as corridors or as sanitary rooms. So with its segment and orientated concept, FlexRoom also supports the planning of sophisticated room automation projects. The desired room functions can be executed in each segment individually or also across any number of segments. To combine the segments into rooms or areas, only the actual positions of the walls need to be transferred to the graphical configuration. In this way, the operator can easily make changes during the operation phase to adapt the room automation to the actual conditions. So for example, after converting 2 offices into a conference room, only the logical wall in the configuration would have been removed. So for example, this would also control all the luminaires together as you would expect in such a room. To simplify the work of the system integrator, we also display positioning and states of all the connected field devices in an overview. So the fact that mobile devices can also be used for this purpose naturally helps to complete the tasks more efficiently. And one might think that FlexRoom can only be used for segment-oriented projects where flexibility is required. But you can also use it to automate rooms that never change. So with FlexRoom you can automate up to 24 rooms with only one controller.
As we have just seen, this is a very well working room automation solutions which fits many building projects. In some projects there are maybe project specifications like for example room temperature which cannot be controlled yet by this standard solution. Therefore, WAGO offers the extension of the FlexRoom application as a service. So the application can be extended with different field bus and subbus systems and room functions. But not only the software can be adapted to projects as ready-made app solutions, but also the hardware. System distributions or individual components for the subdivision are selected and installed according to the projects.
FlexRoom solutions not only meet the requirements of the highest efficiency class of EN 232. If you meet these requirements, you can also score points for classification systems such as LEED, BREEAM or Green Building. Up to now, we had a close look at room automation for office buildings. Let's have a look at industrial buildings. Room automation is less of an issue than light management at industrial buildings. Florian.
In the industry, for example, in production halls, there is a lot of lighting. This lighting is either controlled by the control stations as a BMS system according to the schedule, or by individual production line. This is an ideal case of ready-made application solutions because we have many repeating lighting cabinets in the factory buildings, which must be integrated in the overall solution. The overall process is optimized from commissioning to operation by ready-made lighting cabinet solutions, which have the ready-made application and a tested, ready-to-use connection to the control system. By using standards, the responsibility for the operation can easily distributed to several employees, and you do not depend on the author of the original control program. As a result, each lighting cabinet looks the same on the software level, and each operator or external service provider can easily handle it and reproduce the settings.
As you can imagine, there is also a flexible, configurable solution for lighting control available. In room automation, lighting control is one part, beside sun protection, blind protection, climate control. When it comes to light management, we fully concentrate just on light control. Another colleague is now joining the group. I'd like to welcome Alexander Mackensen, Product Manager Building Automation. Alexander will now introduce us to the light management in detail. Here the motto is also configuration instead of programming.
The right light at the right time in the right quantity. This is a basic requirement for modern and flexible lighting control solutions. Hello and welcome. I would like to show you an application solution that can be used to implement this requirement in a very easy way. Whether warehouses or production halls or other large premises, like for example sport halls, shopping centers or cinemas, lighting always play an important role. And this concerns not only the lighting intensity, also for example the color temperature and of course the function. From simple on-off to dimming or time-based switching, or depending on the daylight or presence, a lot of possibilities are available. The WAGO Lighting Management is a pre-programmed application solution that can easily implement these requirements. The basic idea behind this is as follows. A large area, for example a production hall, can be divided into different segments depending on its use. For example, one production area, one for the office and one for the storage. Each segment can be configured individually by assigning the sensors and luminaires to the segment. And then you could select for each segment the desired function. Also, changes of use or room modification can be implemented very easy by reconfiguration of the luminaires or sensors. The WAGO Lighting Management is installed on a PFC 200. Via I/O modules or communication interfaces, several sensors or actuators like luminaires could be connected to the system. Luminaires and sensors, for example, via a DALI line, luminaires via digital outputs, push buttons via digital inputs, or also an ocean, a wireless technology, or also KNX. For the visualization and operating of the system, there's a separate user interface which runs also on tablets, touch panels, and also smartphones. Also, the connection to higher level systems or management stations is possible. I would now like to give you a little insight into the configuration and visualization interface. You see already the login screen. I just do the login. You see here this application software, which is structured in several areas. One area for general file and project settings, one area for the functionality, one area for the inputs, for the outputs, and also diagnostics. Usually, if you configure a new project, you start with the inputs and outputs, and finally you will assign a function to the segments. Therefore, let's have a little look into the inputs first. Here you can see that we have already 3 devices configured, 2 multisensors, DALI multisensors for presence and brightness, and 1 push button for push button coupler. In case of a new configuration, you could start the addressing and all sensors which are connected to the DALI line will appear in this list. After that, you can give each sensor a name and you can assign the sensor to a segment. The application supports also an ocean wireless. You see there is already 1 device configured with 4 rockers. You can again assign a name to each rocker, and you could assign each rocker to a segment. At this point, I would like to show you how easy it is to teach in a new device, a new in-ocean device, such a push button. Therefore, you press the Teach In button, double-click on the device, and you see a new line appears on the surface. You can type in a name, and you can assign the new device to a segment. So it's really very easy. With a few mouse clicks, it's done. The application provides also the possibility to connect devices via digital inputs and also via KNX. Also, a scheduler is available. You can select between weekly, special days or public holidays. You can select the days and also the switching times. After that, each scheduler can be given a name, and the scheduler will be assigned to a segment. Same situation with color temperature curves. There we have the possibility to define for each hour of the day an individual value for the color temperature. And here again, each curve can be given a name, and we assign the curve to a segment. Now the outputs. The outputs will be configured in the same way. There are two possibilities, via DALI and via digital outputs. You can see that there are already some luminaires configured here. Also here, in case of a new configuration, you will start the push button and all connected luminaires will be listed here. You can assign a name to each luminaire and assign the luminaire to the segment. After the configuration of the inputs and the outputs, you will be able to define the functionality. Therefore, we switch to the tab functionality. You can select a segment and a functionality for this segment. Different types of switching, dimming, and also constant light control, for example. Depending on which function you select, a graphic here on the right side of the screen will illuminate the functionality in detail. Now we have configured inputs, outputs, and functions, and our configuration is ready. I would like to show you now how easy it is to realize a reconfiguration. Let's imagine that we have a big production hall and there are new machines, for example, and there is a need to divide this big area into smaller areas. Therefore, we will switch to the tab Outputs. We select two luminaires. You see that there are 6 luminaires assigned to the big production hall. Now we select 2 of them and assign them to a new segment. After that, we need to start the grouping functionality. That is important to transfer this grouping information to the DALI electronic control gears. That takes a while. And now it's done. After that, we will switch to the inputs, select our DALI area, where we have a push button with 2 rockers, and we can use one of the rocker to switch the new segment form. After that, we will switch to the function area. We select the segment, the new segment, And we can define a functionality for this new segment, for example, dimming. The reconfiguration is ready now, and you can see it's very easy. With only a few mouse clicks, it's possible to reconfigure a configuration during the system is running. Now I would like to show you the visualization. I mentioned at the beginning that there is a separate interface for the visualization and operating of the system. Here you see a visualization with a floor plan in the background, and you are able to position small widgets on this floor plan to switch on, switch off the lighting, and you will get also back some basic status information. For a more detailed view, you can switch to another view, to an area view, where you see here 3 different rooms with some more information. For example, sliders for a set point or some additional push buttons to call up a scene, for example. Another view is a single room view, where you have only the information of one room, which makes, for example, sense if there is a touch panel installed in the room and you want to visualize only this room on the touch panel. For the configuration of this visualization, a wizard is available which guides you step by step through the configuration process. The WAGO Lighting Management is a pre-programmed application which can be used to implement such functionalities very easy. A large area will be divided in several segments. Sensors, actuators could be assigned to the different segments. And finally, you can select a functionality for each segment. So the concept is very flexible, and it's possible to realize a lot of different applications. And that in a very easy and efficient way, according to the motto, configuration instead of programming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander, for your presentation. Now we've heard a lot about configurable solutions. Configurable solutions simplify the automation of technical building equipment. Time pressure, a shortage of skilled workers, legal requirements for an energy-efficient operation, digital planning processes. To meet these conditions, only configurable and probably standardized solutions in the future come into question. WAGO has taken the first steps and will continue on this way. We invite you to join us on this journey. Or even better, we accompany you on this way and help you to easily solve your tasks in the complex environment of building automation. So now we are at the end of this session. I'd like to thank Pierre for supporting me as well. I'd like to say thank you to Florian for supporting me as well. And I'd like to say thank you to you for participating. Before I say goodbye, I would like to draw your attention to the third session of this digital roadshow. It's about requirements of modern energy management. You will find us here again on this platform on July 13th. We appreciate if you take time to join us again. Thank you and goodbye.